It's 7:03 on Friday, September 12th. We're at 62 degrees this morning. Sunny today, going up to near 80 later on. Good morning, I'm John Aaron.
And I'm Kyle Cooper. The top local stories we're following for you this hour on WTOP. Fears of a possible shooter at the Naval Academy in Annapolis led to an accidental shooting yesterday. Maryland Congresswoman Sarah Elfreth was briefed on the situation.
Like I said, there's going to be an investigation. It appears there was not an active shooter on campus, which was part of the misinformation machine. People were spreading online there was an active shooter on campus. That is not what I know to be the facts, and that they were working through clearing buildings when this incident occurred, and that's when the midshipman was shot.
Amid the confusion on campus, officials say the midshipman mistook a law enforcement officer for a possible shooter and struck him in the head with a parade rifle, according to sources talking to multiple outlets. The officer then fired at the midshipman, wounding him. They were both listed in stable condition.
Meanwhile, Maryland Senate President Bill Ferguson and House Speaker Adrienne Jones were both targeted with bomb threats at their homes. It's not clear if the threats are connected to the ones made against the Naval Academy, but Maryland State Police determined they were not credible. Pamela Woods, state politics reporter for the Baltimore Banner, says the threat environment has lawmakers on edge.
It is very concerning, very startling to lawmakers in this climate. And, lawmakers in particular have been on edge for months, ever since in June, the shootings of the Minnesota lawmakers. A lot of lawmakers have been looking to ways to protect themselves ever since then. So this is really startling for those politicians, certainly, and the community.
Police also investigated a bomb threat at the Democratic National Committee offices in D.C. That also was determined not to be credible. At least 6 historically black colleges and universities, including Virginia State and Hampton, received potential threats prompting lockdowns and class cancellations.
From doom scrolling to ripping into friends over politics, the fallout from political violence can set people on edge. Here's WTOP's Kate Ryan.
Days after the horrifying images of conservative activist Charlie Kirk's killing popped up on social media feeds, Andrea Bonnier, professor of psychology at Georgetown University, says people may find themselves reeling from the impact, no matter what their political leanings.
Because I don't think that we were built or made or wired to constantly be exposed to violent imagery.
Bonnier says it's important to limit your exposure to distressing and violent images.
Once we've had that trauma response of seeing a trauma happening to somebody else, we often have our nervous systems on high alert.
So she suggests relaxation exercises, spending time outdoors, and paying attention when you feel anxious or agitated. Kate Ryan, WTOP News.
Last night in Green Bay.
So Matt Gay, who's already banged in one from 51, and this one, another doink. No good.
That was a call from Al Michaels on Amazon Prime Video, and it was not a good night for the Commanders. They lost 27-18 to the Packers. Here's WTOP Sports Director George Wallace.
There's always a concern playing on Thursday night and how a team's going to come out on short rest, and this time Washington definitely looked like one of the oldest teams in the NFL. Never really in the game at Lambeau Field. The Packers controlling it early and often. The Commanders' defense on the field most of that first half, and the offense couldn't get anything going. Just 230 total yards of offense. Jaden Daniels just 17 yards on the ground, 50 total as a team as the Packers dominate. Micah Parsons had a lot to do with that. More importantly, though, the injuries. 2 players carted off. Austin Eckler, a non-contact Achilles injury. Deastrick Wise on that extra point. He had to be carted off as well. So big concern there moving forward as the Commanders now have about 10 days off. George Wallace, WTOP News.
All right, coming up on WTOP.
Where home buyers are finding a lot more to look at around here. I'm Brandon Hazelton.
Traffic and weather in 30 seconds.